Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Abhijit Loreng, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. The headlines. India and China hold brigade commander-level talks to ease tensions in Ladakh. US commemorates 19th anniversary of September 11 terror attacks. India and US ask Pakistan to bring perpetrators of terrorist attacks to justice. WHO chief warns nations against vaccine nationalism. Global COVID-19 cases crossed 27.9 million mark. And in the US Open, Victoria Azarenka to face Naomi Osaka for women's singles title. India and China held brigade commander-level talks in Ladakh a day after the meeting between foreign ministers of the two countries in Moscow. India recently outflanked China by taking control of strategic heights near Pangong Lake's southern bank. It thwarted an attempt by the Chinese soldiers to transgress into Indian areas near the southern bank of Pangsong So near Chushul in Ladakh. India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi agreed for early disengagement and easing of tensions at the line of actual control, the LAC in Ladakh. Both the ministers agreed on 5 points to guide their approach to ease the standoff at the border. A report.
The ministers agreed that both sides shall abide by all the existing agreements and protocol on China-India boundary affairs, maintain peace and tranquility in the border areas, and avoid any action that could escalate matters. Sources said the Indian side highlighted its strong concern at amassing of Chinese troops with equipment along the line of actual control. The Indian side clearly conveyed that it expected full adherence to all agreements on management of border areas and would not countenance any attempt to change the status quo unilaterally. It was also emphasized that the Indian troops had scrupulously followed all agreements and protocols pertaining to the management of the border areas. This is Valsa Williams from News Desk for AIR World News.
Today is the 19th anniversary of 9/11 terror attacks in the United States. Global fraternity joins hands in paying tribute to those who perished in the attacks. Amidst the coronavirus pandemic, in the US, the observance has been restricted. Small groups can visit the memorial site later in the day. Trump, along with his wife Melania, and Biden with his wife Jill, visited the 9/11 memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Trump paid tribute to the victims of the attack and their families and honored the sacrifice. He said,
19 years ago on this day, at this very hour on this field, 40 brave men and women triumphed over terror and gave their lives in defense of our nation. Their names and their stories are forever inscribed on the eternal roll call of American heroes. Today we pay tribute to their sacrifice, and we mourn deeply for the nearly 3,000 precious and beautiful souls who were taken from us on September 11, 2001.
The hijacked plane attacks on September 11, 2001 killed nearly 3,000 people at the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center at the Pentagon and near Shanksville in Pennsylvania. India and the United States held a bilateral 2+2 intersessional meeting in virtual mode. Both sides reviewed the progress and developments in bilateral ties in defense, security and foreign policy. They explored opportunities for enhancing ongoing cooperation in these fields based on mutual interest. They also exchanged views about regional developments and agreed to pursue their quest for a free, open, inclusive, peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific. India and the United States of America have asked Pakistan to bring the perpetrators of terror attacks, including the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks and the Pathankot airbase attack, to justice. In a joint statement, the two countries denounced the use of terrorist proxies and strongly condemned cross-border terrorism in all its forms. India and US have also shared information about their priorities for pursuing sanctions against terrorist groups and individuals. The United Kingdom published a bill to rewrite parts of the Brexit withdrawal agreement it signed in January this year. The European Union has stated that the new bill on trade would be an extremely serious violation of the Brexit deal. It said this had seriously damaged trust. Meanwhile, UK's Cabinet Minister Michael Gove said the country had made it perfectly clear that it would not withdraw the bill. The UK government said that the Parliament is sovereign and can pass laws which breach the UK's international treaty obligations. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. The number of COVID-19 cases continue to rise globally and the figures crossed 27.97 million mark. US and India have the largest numbers of cases, followed by Brazil. India witnessed recoveries of more than 70,000 patients from COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. Early identification, wide-scale testing, prompt and effective treatment have actively led to a high recovery rate in the country. Meanwhile, WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus warned countries that bilateral vaccine deals and vaccine nationalism could compromise equitable access and hold up progress in the fight against COVID-19. At a virtual media briefing in Geneva, he said, accelerating the development and equitable access to vaccines, diagnostics and therapeutics for COVID-19 has been a priority for WHO. He added,
bilateral vaccine deals and vaccine nationalism could compromise equitable access and hold up progress for all countries in bringing the COVID-19 pandemic to an end. Between now and the end of the year, we have a limited window of opportunity to scale up the ACT Accelerator and fully enable the equitable allocation framework. But we need to rapidly scale up our clinical trials, manufacturing, licensing and regulation capacity so that these products can get to people and start saving lives.
In Afghanistan, at least 16 policemen have been killed in an attack by Taliban Islamist movement in the eastern province of Nangarhar. The attack took place before the intra-Afghan peace talks that are expected to begin in Qatar on Saturday, following the mutual release of prisoners by Kabul and the Taliban. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has launched the high-level multi-agency United in Science 2020 report. Mr. Guterres appealed for urgent climate action to ensure a livable planet for this and future generations. While launching the report, he said,
the consequences of our failure to get to grips with the climate emergency everywhere. Record heat waves, devastating wildfires, floods and droughts. And these challenges are only going to get worse. As this report emphasizes, because of past emissions, we are locked into further heating. There is no time to delay if we are to slow the trend and limit temperature rise to 1.5 degrees.
The United in Science 2020 report presents the very latest scientific data and findings related to climate change to inform global policy and action. Moving on to sports news, in the US Open, Belarusian Azarenka will face Japan's Naomi Osaka in the women's singles title. Earlier in the women's singles semi-finals, Serena Williams' bid for a 24th Grand Slam singles title ended as Victoria Azarenka rolled back the years to reach the US Open final. In cricket, England and Australia played their first ODI at Old Trafford Stadium, Manchester. England won the toss and elected to field. Australia set a target of 295 and England has scored 11 runs at the loss of 1 wicket after 6 overs. Moving on to football, Lionel Messi can play in Argentina's opening World Cup qualifier next month as his ban ends. This was announced by the president of the Argentine Football Association. Messi was banned during the Copa America last year after being sent off against Chile and for leveling accusations of corruption at South American soccer chiefs. Wildfires burning across central and northern California have killed 6 people so far. It has spread to areas more than double in size and is threatening small towns in the path of the flames. The conflagrations, which broke out over the last week, have destroyed more than 500 homes and other structures. In addition to the fatalities, 43 firefighters and civilians have been hurt. India is celebrating the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnavi Jan, by singers from Iraq. And with that, we end this edition of World News.